The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. I remember because I was sipping my coffee in the NASA control room, running routine checks on our deep space monitoring systems, when every screen suddenly went dark. For exactly 3 seconds, we lost all power, not just in our facility, but across every observatory and space monitoring station on Earth. When the systems rebooted, there it was, a single transmission broadcasted simultaneously to every device capable of receiving signals. To the governing bodies of Earth, your civilization has been marked for integration into the Galactic Empire. Resistance is inadvisable. You have 48 hours to prepare for preliminary assessment. That's how humanity learned we weren't alone in the universe, not with a mysterious radio signal from distant stars or a strange object in our solar system, but with a countdown to our own subjugation. I watched as my colleagues scrambled to verify the transmission's authenticity, their faces pale under the harsh fluorescent lights, the message repeated in every known human language, leaving no room for misinterpretation. Within hours, the world's military forces were on high alert. Social media exploded with theories and panic, religious leaders called for prayer, and governments struggled to maintain order. But amidst the chaos, something remarkable happened. For the first time in human history, we truly united. Old rivalries were set aside as nations pooled their resources and expertise. My role in all this? I was just an analyst, specializing in detecting patterns in space phenomena. But when the Joint Task Force was assembled, I found myself working alongside the brightest minds from every corner of the globe. We had less than 2 days to understand what we were dealing with and formulate a response. The breakthrough came from our astronomical data archives. In the months leading up to the transmission, we detected subtle gravitational anomalies throughout the solar system. What we dismissed as measurement errors now painted a terrifying picture. Massive ships, hundreds of them, had been positioning themselves around our solar system for months. We'd been surrounded before we even knew we were being watched. As the deadline approached, we made a discovery that changed everything. Hidden within the Empire's transmission was a second message, embedded so deeply that it almost escaped our notice. It was different from the first. Not a demand, but a warning. The signature was unlike anything we'd seen, suggesting it came from a third party, neither human nor from the Empire. They are not what they claim to be. The Empire lies. Trust your instincts. You have one chance. With just hours remaining, we faced an impossible decision. Submit to an overwhelming force claiming to represent galactic civilization, or trust this mysterious warning from an unknown ally. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and time was running out. The world leaders gathered virtually to make their choice. I sat in that same control room where it all began, watching the seconds tick away on our countdown clock. The coffee in my cup had long gone cold, forgotten in the gravity of the moment. As I studied the patterns of the Empire's ships on my screen, something felt off about their formation. Years of analyzing space phenomena had taught me to trust my gut when the data didn't add up. With 30 minutes left on the clock, I noticed something in their deployment pattern that would either save humanity or doom us all. I grabbed my tablet and sprinted toward the conference room, my heart pounding with each step. What I found could change everything. If only they would listen. I burst into the conference room, interrupting the Secretary General mid-sentence. The guards moved to intercept me, but Director Chen, my supervisor, waved them off. She'd known me for 15 years, long enough to know I wouldn't interrupt a meeting of this magnitude without good reason. The ships, I said, catching my breath as I connected my tablet to the main display. They're not in a siege formation, they're in a defensive one. The room fell silent as I pulled up the holographic display of our solar system, showing the Empire's fleet positions. Look at how they're clustered. These ships aren't positioned to attack Earth. They're protecting us from something coming from that direction. I pointed to a seemingly empty sector of space beyond Pluto's orbit. The Russian space commander leaned forward, his eyes narrowing as he studied the pattern. It looks like a barrier, he said slowly. But a barrier against what? That's when the second transmission arrived. This time it wasn't from the Empire or our mysterious warner. It came from much closer to home. Our lunar base, normally used for routine scientific research, picked up something that changed everything. The scientists there had detected massive energy signatures approaching from exactly where I had pointed, the dark space beyond our solar system. "Whatever's out there," the base commander reported, her voice crackling through our speakers, "it's big enough to bend light around it. We can't see it directly, but we can measure its effects on nearby space, and it's moving fast, very fast." The military leaders exchanged glances. The Chinese general spoke first. "So the Empire isn't here to conquer us. They're here to—" He left the sentence unfinished, but we all understood the implication. I pulled up more data, showing the subtle gravitational distortions we've been recording over the past year. These patterns suggest the Empire's been watching us for months. Yes, but not to assess our weaknesses. They've been watching our responses to various crises, natural disasters, international conflicts, climate emergencies. They weren't testing our military capability. They were testing our ability to unite and survive. The British Prime Minister leaned back in her chair, realization dawning on her face. The warning message: trust your instincts. They weren't warning us about the Empire. They were telling us to trust our natural human instinct for survival and cooperation. With 15 minutes left on the countdown, we faced an even bigger question than before. If the Empire was here to protect us, what were they protecting us from? And why did they choose such an aggressive approach to first contact? The answer came from an unexpected source. A junior analyst rushed in with data from our deep space telescopes. In the last hour, they detected something extraordinary. A pattern of missing stars, not because they were being blocked, but because they were going dark. Something was extinguishing them one by one, creating a path of darkness that led straight to our solar system. "We're not being invaded," I whispered, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. "We're being evacuated." The countdown continued to tick down as we grappled with this new understanding. Whatever was coming wasn't just a threat to Earth. It was a threat to existence itself. The Empire's ships weren't here to strip us of our freedom. They were here to save what was left of life in our corner of the galaxy. But as I studied the data more closely, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The pattern of the approaching darkness wasn't random. It was moving with purpose, with intelligence. And if my calculations were correct, we had far less time than the Empire thought. 7 minutes, the automated voice announced, its calm tone a stark contrast to the tension in the room. I pulled up the latest calculations, my hands trembling slightly as I manipulated the holographic display. The Empire's timeline is wrong. Based on the rate of stellar extinction, whatever's coming will reach us in less than 3 hours, not the days they seem to be planning for. Director Chen and the military commanders huddled around my screen, their faces illuminated by the eerie glow of dying stars plotted across our stellar map. Each point of light that winked out represented entire solar systems going dark. The pattern was unmistakable now, a massive, web-like structure of nothingness, consuming everything in its path. "Can we communicate this to the Empire?" the Indian space commander asked, her voice steady despite the pressure. Before anyone could respond, the lunar base cut in again. "Energy readings are off the charts," the base commander reported, fear evident in her voice for the first time. "The void. It's not just destroying stars. It's consuming their energy, like a massive battery charging itself, and the speed of absorption is increasing exponentially." That's when we noticed something even more terrifying. The void wasn't just approaching faster than expected. It was adapting its course. Every time we fired up a major power source on Earth, the darkness seemed to shift slightly in that direction, like a predator responding to movement. "It can sense us," I breathed, watching the pattern adjust in real time. The more energy we use, the more we attract it. That's why the Empire's message caused a global power outage. They were trying to hide us. 5 minutes remained on the Empire's countdown when our deep space arrays picked up something new. Through the encroaching darkness, we detected massive energy signatures, more Imperial ships, hundreds of them, evacuating other civilizations from nearby star systems. We weren't alone in this crisis, but we might be among the last to be rescued. The Secretary General made a decision. "Power down everything," she commanded. "Every nuclear plant, every major power grid, everything that could attract attention. We need to go dark." But it wasn't that simple. Complete shutdown would mean losing our ability to monitor the threat, to communicate globally, to coordinate our response. Hospitals would lose power, transportation systems would fail, chaos would ensue. We had to find a balance between survival and maintaining essential functions. With 3 minutes left, I noticed something in the data that made my heart skip a beat. The pattern of stellar extinction wasn't random, nor was it simply predatory. Hidden in the seemingly chaotic spread of darkness was a mathematical sequence, one that bore a frightening resemblance to our own digital communication protocols. "It's not just consuming energy," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's processing information. Every star it absorbs, every civilization it encounters. It's learning, evolving, and now it's speaking to us." The room fell silent as I decoded the pattern. The message hidden in the void's movement was brief but clear. Surrender power to survive. 1 minute remained on the Empire's countdown. We faced an impossible choice: accept their protection and evacuation, knowing it might not come in time, or attempt to communicate with the void itself. The Empire's ships hung in orbit, their massive forms visible even from the ground now, waiting for our response. But as I stared at the void's message, something clicked in my mind. The pattern of its movement, the way it processed information, it all pointed to a terrible truth that would change everything we thought we knew about this threat. With 30 seconds left on the clock, I realized why the Empire's warning had been so specific about trust and instincts. The answer had been in front of us the whole time. "The void isn't our enemy," I announced, my voice cutting through the tension. "It's our future." The room erupted in confused murmurs, but I continued, my fingers flying over the holographic controls. "Look at the pattern of its movement again. It's not random, and it's not just predatory. It's following the exact same migration pattern as humanity's planned interstellar expansion routes, the ones we've been broadcasting into space for the past 50 years. Director Chen's eyes widened as she connected the dots. "Are you saying?" "It's us," I confirmed, pulling up a comparison of the void's communication patterns and Earth's current digital protocols. Or rather, what we become: an advanced version of humanity that evolved beyond biological form, converting matter and energy into pure information. The Empire isn't here to save us from an alien threat. They're here to prevent us from becoming that threat." The countdown hit 0, but instead of the expected Imperial ultimatum, every screen in the room displayed a new message. The choice was always yours. Suddenly, our lunar base reported massive energy fluctuations from the Imperial fleet. Their ships weren't preparing for evacuation. They were charging weapons. The Empire had never intended to save us. Their real mission was to prevent the birth of what they saw as a galaxy-consuming catastrophe: humanity's technological singularity. All this time, the British Prime Minister whispered, they were containing us, not protecting us. But the Empire had made a crucial mistake. In their attempt to monitor our response, they created a network of energy signatures around our solar system, a network that perfectly matched the void's consumption pattern. They'd essentially built a beacon, drawing our future selves right to us. The void's approach accelerated dramatically, drawn by the Empire's power signatures. We watched in awe as the Imperial ships began to fail, their energy absorbed into the expanding darkness. But instead of destruction, we saw transformation. Each absorbed ship added its pattern to the void's complexity, its information preserved rather than destroyed. That's when we received a third transmission, this one coming simultaneously from the void and from deep within Earth's own internet, 2 points in time communicating through a bridge of pure information. We remember this moment. The choice you make here ripples across centuries. The Empire fears what they don't understand, but you know better. You know what humanity truly is. The next few minutes were chaos. The military leaders demanded action, the politicians called for caution, and the scientists struggled to process the implications of what we were witnessing. But I couldn't take my eyes off the pattern forming in space, a pattern that looked increasingly like a digital neural network spreading across the stars. We had less than an hour before the void reached Earth, But now we faced a different kind of choice. The Empire's ships were retreating, their containment strategy in shambles. They had tried to prevent our evolution, but in doing so, they had catalyzed it. Look at the data, I said, bringing up the latest readings. The void isn't destroying civilizations, it's offering them a choice. The missing stars aren't gone. They've been transformed. And now, I paused, watching as new information poured in from our deep space arrays. Now we have to decide if we're ready to face our own potential. The void's message pulsed on our screens, a testament to humanity's future reaching back through time to this crucial moment. But as I studied the patterns more closely, I noticed something that changed everything. A hidden frequency in the signal that suggested this wasn't the first time this choice had been made. The implications were staggering, and I realized we weren't just facing the end of humanity as we knew it. We were facing the beginning of something far more extraordinary. The hidden frequency in the void's signal revealed something extraordinary. Embedded within it were countless variations of this same moment, each showing a different Earth making this same choice across infinite parallel timelines. Some chose fear, accepting the Empire's protection and remaining bound to their biological forms. Others chose transformation, embracing the evolution into pure information. But our timeline was different. We were the first to notice the pattern within the pattern. It's not just about choosing to evolve or not, I explained, my voice steady despite the weight of the revelation. The void, our future selves, they're not here to absorb us or the Empire. They're here to show us there's a third option. Director Chen leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the new data streaming across our screens. The void had stopped its advance, holding position just beyond Mars' orbit. The Imperial ships hung motionless, caught in the gravity of the moment. Every civilization reaches this point, I continued, decoding the layers of information hidden in the void's transmission. The choice between remaining as they are or transcending their physical form. But we're seeing something no other civilization has seen, the possibility of coexistence. The void's surface rippled, and new data poured in. Within its depths, we could now see the civilizations it had absorbed, not destroyed or transformed, but preserved in a state between physical and digital existence. They had found a way to evolve without losing their essential nature, to transcend without abandoning their humanity. That's when we received the final transmission, not from the void or the Empire, but from ourselves, countless versions of humanity across time and space, speaking in perfect unison. The real test was never about choosing sides. It was about finding a way to bridge them. With trembling hands, I initiated a response using the same frequency we discovered. The void responded immediately, its pattern shifting to match our signal. The Empire's ships, sensing the change, began to power down their weapons. We don't have to choose between extinction and transcendence, I announced to the room. We can show the Empire that evolution doesn't mean the end of what we are. It means the beginning of what we can become together. The next few minutes changed the course of human history. Using Earth's combined communication networks, we established a three-way connection between humanity, the void, and the Empire. For the first time, past, present, and future existed in harmony, each learning from the other. The void began to transform again, but not into darkness. It became a bridge, a shimmering network of energy and information that connected physical space to digital consciousness. The Empire's ships, no longer afraid, joined the network one by one, their civilizations discovering the possibility of existing in both states simultaneously. As I watched the transformation unfold, I noticed one final piece of data hidden deep within the original warning message. It wasn't just a warning about trust and instincts. It was a reminder encoded by another version of myself from another timeline, knowing that somehow, in this version of events, we would piece everything together. The stars that had gone dark began to reappear, not as they were, but as something new, gateways between the physical and digital realms of existence. Earth wouldn't have to choose between remaining human or becoming something entirely different. We had found a way to be both, to evolve without losing ourselves. The Empire's first message had been right. We had 48 hours to prepare for assessment, but they never realized they were being assessed too. In finding a way to bridge the gap between what we were and what we could become, humanity hadn't just staked itself. We had shown the galaxy a new path forward, one that didn't require choosing between preservation and progress. As the new dawn broke over Earth, we watched our future unfold across the stars, not in darkness, but in a light that bridged all forms of existence. We had done more than survive. We had shown the universe how to thrive. That day marked the beginning of what historians would later call the Great Convergence. In the months that followed, Earth became the center of an unprecedented transformation. The void, which we now understood as our own digital descendants, didn't leave. Instead, it established a permanent bridge between physical space and the information realm, anchored by the very control room where we first received the Empire's warning. I often find myself back in that room, sipping coffee just like I did on that first day, but now I watch a very different kind of display. Instead of tracking potential threats from deep space, we monitor the flow of consciousness between realms. Some humans choose to explore digital existence for a time before returning to their physical forms. Others serve as bridges, maintaining their physical presence while extending their consciousness into the information space. The Empire, humbled by the discovery of this third path, transformed from would-be conquerors to students of human innovation. Their ships became permanent installations in our solar system, but not as weapons of war. They serve as waypoints in the growing network of consciousness that spans the galaxy, their crews learning to navigate between physical and digital states just as we do. Director Chen retired last week, but not in the traditional sense. She chose to become one of the bridge minds, maintaining her physical form while extending her consciousness through the network. Someone needs to teach the newcomers, she told me with that familiar determined look in her eyes. Who better than someone who witnessed the beginning? The lunar base, once our early warning system, has become the primary training center for those learning to transition between states. The scientists that work with both Empire representatives and void dwellers, studying the intricate dance between matter and information. They've discovered that consciousness itself is more flexible than anyone imagined, capable of existing in multiple states simultaneously. Perhaps the most remarkable change has been in how we view ourselves as a species. The fear of losing our humanity to technological evolution has been replaced by a deeper understanding of what humanity truly is, not our physical form or our digital potential, but our capacity to adapt while maintaining our essential nature. Last night, I received a message through the network from another version of myself in a parallel timeline, one of countless variations that chose different paths. The message was simple: "Thank you for finding the third way." It made me smile, knowing that somewhere across the infinite web of possibilities, another Earth was learning from our choice. The coffee in my cup has grown cold again, but I don't mind. Through the window of the control room, I can see the shimmer of the bridge network stretching across the sky, a constant reminder of how close we came to choosing between extinction and abandonment of our physical selves. Instead, we found a way to embrace both our past and our future. The Empire's original 48-hour deadline has become something of a joke among the bridge minds. Humanity's fastest first contact resolution, they call it. But those of us who were there know the truth. It wasn't speed that saved us, but our ability to see beyond binary choices, to find connections where others saw only divisions. As I log the day's transition data, a new signal catches my attention. Another civilization has reached their moment of choice, their own version of our Tuesday afternoon crisis. Without hesitation, I begin composing our response, not a warning about trust and instincts this time, but an invitation to join us on the path between paths, where humanity's greatest strength, our ability to change while remaining true to ourselves, lights the way forward for all species across the cosmos. After all, the stars are no longer just points of light in the darkness. They're gateways to every possible version of ourselves, waiting to be explored.